What's up, everybody? Today I am once again giving you all my unwanted opinion. This time it is in the form of a Game Week 34 free hit video. Obviously a lot of this just comes down to opinions on certain players and why I think things are going to happen, and I will explain. But if you want to debate with me, feel free to do it in the comments. Now I am going to get rid of the elephant in this room. You saw Trent on the thumbnail. You probably want to know why I picked Trent in this free hit 34 team. And I have a good reason for it, actually. So my reasoning is, right, obviously you want 3 Liverpool players in your free hit 34 team. I'm pretty sure everyone who's still playing the game wants 3 Liverpool players in their Game Week 34 team. Obviously one of those spots is going to go to Salah. That's done. That's confirmed. And you got 2 more spaces to fill up with Liverpool players. Now I know they've not been on great form recently, but honestly it doesn't matter because we know Liverpool's bad form only lasts very, very short amounts of time. And they're bound to be back on it soon. There's no point going against them when it's going to be so risky to go without them in the first place. Now, the reason I say Trent is because you have 4 options to choose from in the midfield out of Gakpo, Diaz, Núñez, and Jota. Now, those 4 there have a lot of squad rotation. I think only one of them will manage to get 2 starts in this double game week, and I have no idea which one it's going to be. I know for a fact it's not going to be Gakpo, but he will be taking minutes off players like Núñez, Jota, and Diaz. Now, Núñez, Jota and Diaz, the main 3, one of them is going to have to sit out each game along with Gakpo, and it's almost impossible to tell which one it's going to be. That's why I'm thinking, okay, do I really want to be back in 2 of these Liverpool attackers, or should I use one of my Liverpool assets to go back in the defence? And, I think it's a very good idea. If you include the fact Trent has a lot of assist potential, and obviously that clean sheet potential is there as well, he's a very good option. Now, I know Liverpool have not been keeping a lot of clean sheets recently, but they're actually 3rd in terms of expected clean sheets in the last 5 games. They've only kept 1 clean sheet and they've been expected 1.76, I believe. I may be off there, I may be wrong, but that's still pretty high. It's only behind Arsenal and Man City. And they're playing against Everton. The other game is against Fulham. These are 2 teams where you can't knock a clean sheet for Liverpool. Fulham and Everton are not too great offensively, especially in the recent games. With their bad form, I think Liverpool have a good chance of getting at least 1 clean sheet. Also, I would give Trent a good chance of getting at least 1 goal contribution across these 2 game weeks, considering his big attacking potential, corners, free kicks. He plays in an advanced role. But then raises the next question, will Trent even start both games? And right now, I currently think he will. Okay, Liverpool need to win their next 6 games. They have to, and Klopp's going to need his best players for it. Trent is obviously one of those best players. Bradley does not start over Trent. Let's be honest, he's a good player, but he does not start ahead of Trent unless Trent is injured. Now, I know what you're thinking. Trent has only just come back from injury. He played his first minutes in ages last game week. But the thing is, Bradley is yellow flagged in FPL, and Trent is not yellow flagged in FPL. Meaning Bradley, at the moment, is more of an injury risk than Trent. On top of that, Trent is the favourite to start over Bradley. So there's 2 big reasons why I think Trent will start at least the next game, and most likely the second game of the double game week. I'm not saying I'm 100% right, but I do feel like Trent has more reliable minutes than any 4 of those Liverpool midfielders other than Salah. Obviously, you can disagree with me if you want, but I think that's the case. Moving on from Trent, we still have 1 Liverpool spot left, which I'm obviously going to need to use on that midfield. I don't know whether it's going to be Diaz, Núñez, or Jota. Now, I am sad to say this because Núñez is in my FPL team, but I don't think he's going to be starting both games purely because even Liverpool fans are getting upset with him. And Liverpool fans praise this guy like he's some god when he misses 10 open goals. So if the Liverpool fans are getting sick of him, then it's pretty much over for him, let's be honest. He's gone back to missing a lot of big chances. The only hope left for Núñez owners is that Klopp still favourites him and picks him. Although Núñez does have an advantage, to be honest. He can play either striker or left wing, whereas Jota normally plays in that centre forward role, and Diaz plays on the left wing. Núñez can play both of those positions pretty well, which does give him a slight edge over the other ones. Now with Jota, he's only just come back from injury, so that could mean they want to ease him into it. But before his injury, we need to remember, he was the essential player for Klopp. He was starting every game in that front 3, most games alongside Núñez. Diaz was kind of the odd one out. He was a bit left out. But now, ever since Jota got injured, Diaz has been performing a lot better than Núñez. So Klopp might be thinking now, who do I pick? Well, guys, I'm here to tell you I have no idea who Klopp is going to pick, but I think we should go with the recent data and who gets the most expected goals and expected assists while they're on the pitch. and that is Luis Diaz. He is up there with the metrics, and he has been getting the actual goals and actual assists to back it up. That's why I would favour him as a Liverpool attacker. But obviously things can change. We can get a press conference from Klopp. That is the one spot that may change just to a different Liverpool midfielder, but it won't change drastically too much. But yeah, anyway, that's my stance on Liverpool. Now we have to take the stance on Arsenal, and Arsenal is a lot easier to manage. First things first, you're going to have Saka in your team. You just have to. There's no point not owning Saka. Like, why would you do that? Don't be silly, especially if you're on a free hit. The problem is with Arsenal, do you want to back a second midfielder or do you want to back two defenders? Now, the problem with a lot of these Arsenal midfielders is that they're also up for squad rotation. Now, I think Martinelli, Trossard and Havertz and Gabriel Jesus could all get rotated through that front line. I do think the problem with Havertz as well is that if Odegaard does need to be rested, Havertz will fill in for him and he won't be playing that striker role we have been seeing him play at. So my instant thought, my reaction is to just avoid that Arsenal midfield in general, except for Saka, because we know what Saka's like. We know he's nailed. And why would you not back an Arsenal defence, which has just been so solid recently, with two clean sheet worthy games, by the way. Away to Wolves and home to Chelsea is not bad at all. I think they're keeping at least one clean sheet, maybe even two. And the two Arsenal defenders I think you should go with is Gabriel and Saliba. Obviously, we know Gabriel is nailed along with Saliba. They're both playing full 90s every game. They're not getting rotated ever. Saliba has almost no goal threat, no assist potential, while Gabriel has quite a bit of goal threat. In fact, he's been unlucky to not get a goal in these past few games. Unlucky may not be the right word. He's just been, inaccurate with his headers. But I know a lot of you are thinking, why not Ben White over Saliba? Because Ben White has a lot more chance for a goal involvement, and I know that. But Ben White also has a much higher chance of being rotated, okay? You mustn't forget they are playing a Champions League game before their first game of the double game week, which could mean Ben White gets rotated and rested because he is not as nailed as Saliba, and you do not want to be in that situation where Arsenal keep a clean sheet and Ben White has only played 20 minutes off the bench. That is just going to be heartbreaking for you. So I think in this case, it's a lot better to be safe than sorry. That's why I'd pick Saliba over Ben White. But if you want to take that risk and you're certain Ben White isn't going to get rotated, you can take that risk. Because technically, the fact Ben White gets rotated was beneficial in Gameweek 33 when he's the only Arsenal defender that actually kept a clean sheet anyway. He got a yellow card with 5 points, but a clean sheet is a clean sheet. So that's the two main subjects of the team gone over with Arsenal and Liverpool. Those are the best 6 assets, in my opinion. But there's many more options you could go with. It's just based on opinion and who you think is going to play the games. We might as well finish off the defence with our goalkeeper. I think Pickford is the best. A lot of clean sheet potential against Forest at home. A lot of save potential against Liverpool at home. Now, guys, I know they did just lose 6-0 and Cole Palmer scored 4 goals, who for some reason I do not own. So I've gone from 80k to 170k, sadly. But yeah, I don't want to think about that right now. It makes me sad. There is no argument to back Pickford over Henderson or Jose Sarr. I do think it's like a coin toss if you could have a 3-sided coin. They're all as good as each other, but I would back Everton versus Forest at home to be the most likely clean sheet possible out of all the fixtures being played in double game week 34. Because it's not like the Everton defence is awful just because they had one bad game against Chelsea. It can be quite solid. I mean, they kept a clean sheet the game week before. We also have 2 more spots in that midfield left. One of those spots is 1000% going to Eze. You guys already know why. Eze's got 2 home games against 2 defensively kind of shaky teams, to be honest. They've not been great at all recently, except for Newcastle's last game, which was a freak game. Somehow they won 4-0. I don't think that's a change or anything. I think it's just one of those fluky games. So I do think Eze has a very good chance of scoring against West Ham and scoring against Newcastle, especially if you include the fact Olise is back, the creative mastermind of Crystal Palace. He could be giving Eze goals. Eze is also on penalties. At least I think so. So yeah, Eze, no-brainer. The next one in the midfield, I am actually backing a Sheffield United player. Don't ask me why, because I'm going to tell you. Brereton Diaz, while he has technically only had one big haul, he has been getting the expected data over and over again. And he's got 2 fixtures in double game week 34, obviously. It's a double game week. He's going to have 2. One of them is against Burnley at home. Easiest possible fixture for him. And the other one is away to Manchester United. And on paper, that sounds like quite a hard fixture. But Manchester United are so bad defensively at the moment. And trust me, I know. I watch them week in, week out. I'm a fan. I go through the pain. They are not going to be defending well against Sheffield United. I tell you that right now. And if anyone's going to get an involvement for Sheffield United, the most likely person is Brereton Diaz. I think Sheffield United definitely have the best fixtures for this double game week coming up. So why not back their best asset as a differential on your free hit? Surely if you're using a regular team, you don't want to bring Brereton Diaz in for the long run. But on a free hit, if you want to gain something over those players who aren't using a free hit, Brereton Diaz is that guy to go for. I guess if you wanted to play safe, you could go with Mateta, but Brereton Diaz has better fixtures and better data. That's why I'm backing him over Mateta, but Mateta can just sit there on the bench. So the final two players of this team, the two forwards, they're quite obvious. The first one is Solanke. It's way too risky to go without him. He's playing 2 away games, don't get me wrong, but both these teams are unlikely to keep a clean sheet. I've got to be honest. They've not been great at defending recently, and Solanke can really score against anyone, you know. He has the potential to do it against any team, and he's been getting a lot of expected goals. He's the Bournemouth talisman. Not much else more to say. You just should really get him in your team. Once again, if you want to back Mateta over Solanke, it is not the worst idea. I personally wouldn't do it because I'd rather play safe in that area. But if you want to go super differential, then sure, you can play Mateta over Solanke. But this next guy, he's not expendable. You cannot get rid of him. It is Cunha. He's got one pretty easy game, home to Bournemouth, and one fairly difficult game, home to Arsenal. Now, that home game to Arsenal could just be minutes fodder, an extra 2 points. But you mustn't forget, Wolves have good attacking potential with a lot of their assets. And I think it's 50-50 really. I don't know how to think about it. I thought about it, right? I don't know if Arsenal are easily going to keep a clean sheet that game. I think Wolves are going to challenge them. And if Wolves do score, I really think it can only come from one man, and that is Matthias Cunha. Obviously, that Bournemouth game at home speaks for itself. That's a very high ceiling for Cunha. We know his first game back from injury, his first start, he just went and bagged the brace. Why not do it again? And yeah, we are going to round that bench off with a Crystal Palace defender and Aït-Nouri. Aït-Nouri was kind of close to coming into the team, but I couldn't pick him over Trent or that Arsenal defence or any of these attackers, so we can just sit there on the bench. But yeah, everyone there is a pretty solid pick. The only 3 optional ones really, or 2 optional ones I would say, is Solanke and Brereton Diaz, who you could switch in for Mateta. But I do think everyone else here is pretty crucial. I think Trent is going to be very underrated for your free hit drafts. People who are just using their regular team, they can't use a free hit. They cannot easily get Trent into their team. They cannot just upsell their 4.5 mil defender to bring in Trent. So I think it's a very important differential for your teams if you're on a free hit. But guys, as always, let me know if you disagree with anything. Let me know if you think my opinion is whack, if I'm stupid. I don't blame you. I've had a bad end of season run in so far, not owning Cole Palmer. It took me from 14k to 170k in about a month. But we'll ignore that for now. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one.